Please don't mind me using the cliché, but the best just got better. Does it actually make sense to upgrade to Osmo Action Generation 6? And is this really the best action camera you can buy right now? Let's inspect. Hi, and let's start with a few important disclosures. This video is not sponsored. The Osmo Action 6 is my own purchase, and yes, I use a lot of DJI gear when filming, but I also respect what GoPro and Insta360 bring to the table. What you're about to see in the next few minutes is the truth, based entirely on real life usage. A lot of footage, a lot of testing, and a lot of facts. So let's dive in. Since we're sticking to facts, and while this number isn't officially published, multiple industry sources suggest that DJI holds around 66% of the global action camera market. That means they ship a lot more units than GoPro and Insta360 combined. Looking at the footage, I'm honestly not surprised. Many so-called experts will argue that competitors are better in certain scenarios, but real-world footage tends to debunk a lot of those claims. Using what is currently the most capable processor in the industry about action cameras, Osmo Action 6 delivers 10 bits video with H.265 compression, full manual control over shutter speed, ISO, and now aperture, making it the only action camera right now that gives you control over all these three exposure pillars. Add D-Log-M into the mix for advanced color grading, and suddenly this tiny camera becomes a serious production tool. Even in auto mode, footage looks excellent. DJI has clearly tweaked a little the gamma curve this time. Green now looks closer to GoPro's color science, which, for the record, is still my personal favorite. There's also a new field of view option called Natural Wide. Keeps the immersive wide look, reduces distortion, and avoids the overly straight edges of aggressive de-warpening. If you need some extra pixels, the new 8K mode is the key, something that got unlocked via firmware update, and that's massive. Being able to freely reframe and crop is also massive. 8K is not the thing you'd use all the time, but knowing it's there gives you extra level of confidence. Now, sticking with facts, I do have a complaint. The overall FOV is slightly narrower than what we have with Osmo Action 5, not by much, but it's there, and DJI seems to be experimenting with something similar to Insta360's double zoom idea, except you can't switch it while you're recording, which I genuinely miss and hope to see fixed with the firmware update. Side by side with the competition, yes, this camera is either on par or slightly better than most rivals in good lighting. And to be fair, this is the scenario where almost all modern action cameras already perform well. But for low light, this is where most of them start to fall apart. And this is exactly where DJI is now clearly ahead. Three major reasons. First, the image sensor is extremely advanced, very likely the same square-shaped sensor used with Osmo 360, giving it better light distribution and reframing flexibility. Second, the light intake. DJI now offers a variable aperture starting at f/2.0, which is objectively better than the f/2.6 on the Ace Pro 2 and f/2.5 on the GoPro Hero 13, the latter one being frankly a disaster in low light. Third is the processing. Both DJI and Insta360 offer immersive, dedicated low-light mode, but the Osmo Action 6 can push ISO to 12,800 compared to ISO 6,400 on the Ace Pro 2, and in side-by-side footage, DJI delivers significantly less noise and higher sensitivities, giving you much more room for cleanup in post. I truly realized how powerful this combo is when filming the protests here in Sofia recently. It's honestly unbelievable how usable low-light footage from an action camera has become. Stabilization, as you can see, is also superb, and the footage really speaks for itself. Gonna tease you with more footage in a bit, but first, let's talk design. I'm using the most affordable version of the package, and it is worth noting that Osmo Action 6 is actually cheaper than the direct competitors. The overall feel is familiar, rugged, solid, confidence-inspiring. This time there is no protective frame included, mainly because the camera itself is slightly larger. The magnetic mounting clamp has been improved. There is no longer a correct direction to mount it, which is a small but very practical upgrade. Now, since I'm already sounding critical, there's the main complaint: lens filters. The new sensor sits behind a larger lens, meaning anti-filters from Action 3, 4 and 5 no longer fit. You can DIY a solution, but it's not ideal, especially noticeable at the widest field of views. So yeah, the solution costs around $60. The display is large, very sharp and perfectly visible in daylight, likely a bit brighter than on the Action 5. I had zero usability issues, though adding screen protection still makes a lot of sense. Spec-wise, this is more of a refinement than a revolution. The processor and the battery are likely the same as on Action 5, but you're gonna notice improvements in white balance accuracy, stabilization behavior, and controls. There's still internal storage, full waterproofing, support for DJI wireless microphones, and a solid smartphone app. Now, my take on the changes and the upgrades in terms of tech highlights. DJI continues to run the best processor in the action camera world. They probably once again deploy a Qualcomm chip inside, and this gives them exceptional thermal stability and overall performance, which can easily beat the competition. Also, about battery life. Then comes the image sensor. Arguably the best one they could fit right now at this price. It's almost a perfect square, finally giving you true freedom to reframe the footage in any direction that you want. But speaking of reframing, yes, I obviously think of Insta360. This is exactly where 8K mode is extremely useful. Higher resolution gives you more headroom to crop in post-production without sacrificing detail. And I also noticed that the camera is slightly larger and no longer ships with a frame. And yes, the new body continues to be rugged, but personally, I still prefer having some level of external protection. Thankfully, this magnetic mount keeps the same dimensions, so most of the older accessories are still going to fit well. And on top of the 10-bit colors, the outstanding stabilization, the D-Cine-like and all the manual controls, there's the new heavily advertised variable aperture, which I find useful, and here's how much of difference it can make. Some low-light samples, again, thanks to the aperture. Think of it as a window letting the light hit the sensor. Open it wider and you get more light. Simple physics, but incredibly effective here. The fact that you now get real exposure control in an action camera is huge. DJI has already revised these menus multiple times since the launch, and I do expect further refinements, and eventually competitors would probably copy the idea. Controls are excellent. You can either dive deep using touch gestures, which are fluid, logical and well designed, or use voice commands when your hands are busy. I might be biased here. The Osmo Action has been my daily driver since Generation 4, and I know these menus by heart, but no other camera UI makes me feel this confident while filming, and it has almost never failed me. The battery life is just as solid as on the Action 5, no hiccups, fast charging support and affordable spare batteries. Out of all my action cameras, this is the only one that doesn't make me nervous about running out of power, and that matters. For the record, while I was stressing the batteries, also managed to measure the thermals. So this is how the camera would look like after 10 minutes of recording in 4K 120 FPS. As for connectivity, DJI wireless microphones work flawlessly, easy pairing, real-time indicators, no drama. The Wi-Fi transfer speeds are excellent, and yes, you can use the Osmo Action 6 as a webcam. With the improved low-light performance, that's actually making good sense now. Oh, and yet another piece of awesomeness that showed up as a firmware update: ability to automatically copy files to your cloud account or your home NAS, the latter one being priceless to me. I'm gonna be short about the app called DJI Mimo. Remains familiar, more features, a bit more templates, easy editing, and seamless integration with the rest of DJI's ecosystem, which, as you know, I use a lot. Now, is it time to talk about the drawbacks? Because yes, I have a list. Still no Apple Find My support. And at this point, this is becoming critical. Still no automatic display brightness. Firmware packages are getting massive, they take longer to install, and worst of all, often reset settings after updates. That's perhaps the most annoying part. My conclusion? Well, right now the Osmo Action 6 is the best action camera on the market, period. Brings the strongest features, the most advanced video tuning controls, full compatibility with almost all the batteries and accessories from generations 3, 4, 5, even partially generation 2. This is the undisputed leader, especially for anything shot in the dark where the GoPro honestly looks ridiculous in comparison. To simplify the choice, if you already have an Osmo Action 5 or even 4, just keep it. The performance jump isn't as massive. The Action 3, I think it's still good, but the smaller image sensor means that you will certainly see improvements, especially with low light performance. Switching from any GoPro makes a lot of sense. And if you're an Insta360 Ace Pro user, the decision really depends on how deep you are in their ecosystem. And if this is going to be your first action camera, well, lucky you, because my first one was the legendary SJ-Cam SJ4000, and action cameras obviously have come a long way since then. So that's it for today. Please consider supporting the channel. A like and subscribe go a long way. And ordering through any of my affiliate links, which are posted in the video description, doesn't change the price you pay, but it does help me to keep the lights on. But above all, don't waste money on tech that you don't actually need. Thanks for watching. I'm Michael. You enjoy life, and I'll see you soon. Bye.